offers teachers a major shake-up. Labour Party candidate Retribution says ongoing court case stops Dragon's resumption. Now, on the foreign scene, Israeli military orders all residents of Gaza City to evacuate. Details of these and more after this break. Now building up across some petrol stations in parts of Port Harcourt and its environs. This follows the strike by the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, over the refusal of management of Dangote to unionize their staff. Our correspondent observed long queues in some petrol stations from the Uniport Gate to the Rumosi axis. Yesterday, the conciliatory meeting between the federal government and the management of NUPENG ended without any resolution. Talks broke down after the representative of Dangote Group, Sayu Dantata, reportedly walked out on Labour Minister Mohammed Dingyadi and the Labour delegation during the discussions over the unionization of Dangote refinery workers. NUPENG officials stopped loading of fuel across depots nationwide on Monday and kicked against Dangote Petroleum Refinery's alleged ban on workers' unionism. The closed-door meeting was led by Labour Minister Mohammed Dingyadi and his colleague, Minister of State Nkiruka Onyechocha. Meanwhile, the chairman of the NLC, Alex Agwanwa, says the union is standing firmly with NUPENG as the nationwide strike kicks off. Now, he told correspondent Suebi Oruware that the action is to push the federal government to resolve welfare issues and long-standing concerns in the oil and gas sector.
So far as NSC in Rivers State is concerned, we stand on any position of the council, fighting against whatever that is opposing the welfare of our members. And what Dangote is doing right now is like trying to deprive the workers' rights in terms of a freedom of association and to join the union of their choice. We're totally against it. We also are in solidarity with NUPENG and every other stakeholder to say that Dangote should abide by the laws of this country.
Agwanwa says the union will keep monitoring compliance across the state. He also insists that under the Trade Union Act, NUPENG alone has the authority to unionize workers in the industry. In the same vein, NUPENG's representative at the Port Harcourt refinery, Uche Udenwa, says the strike will be suspended once the government steps in and addresses their concerns.
It's going to be an indefinite one. If all the issues are met, the concerns of the union are met, it shouldn't last more than necessary. Then there will be no need to strike. You don't employ workers and then you want to form a union for them. If you are employing people within the oil and gas, they have to belong to NUPENG. You cannot create your own union, especially as an employer.
He explains that in Port Harcourt, enforcement is mainly happening at private depots. In the meantime, a labor lawyer, Emma Nwosu, says it is statutory for workers in both public and private organizations to join unions. Nwosu told correspondent Onyekachi Nwosu that the law allows Dangote to operate freely and it must obey the law of the land.
Workers' welfare is a paramount obligation of the union. So if Dangote has refused workers in his refinery to unionize, that would be contrary to our instant law. And so Pengasson will be right. So the best that government will do is to ensure that Dangote allow the workers in Dangote refinery to be part of the union, because it is their right. Stopping them from unionizing will be contrary to our instant law, and Pengasson cannot watch.
He said strike is the only option left for the union.
Strike is the only weapon the workers have under whatever sector. Because you know that the employers, as it were, the employers are very adamant in yielding to workers' demand. And so the only weapon that can make employers yield to concede to workers' demand is strike. So irrespective of the consequence of strike, its consequences to the economy.
Similarly, the Trade Union Congress has rejected the federal government's planned 5% tax on petroleum products, calling it reckless and an act of economic wickedness. The union says the policy would worsen hardship, cripple businesses, and push more Nigerians into poverty. TUC President General Festus Osifo and Secretary General N.A. Toro says the government cannot continue to use citizens as sacrificial lambs for its economic policies. They are warning that if the plan is not withdrawn, the union will mobilize workers and the masses for the nationwide resistance, including a possible strike. Well, away from strikes now, as part of plans to respond proactively to the issue of recurring floods in River State, a Central Working Committee on Flood Management and Control has been inaugurated in Port Harcourt. This is according to the River State Sole Administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas. This new development was announced at a sensitization campaign in Kana by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Orwell Okerinku.
River State, like many parts of Nigeria, has faced recurring flood challenges that disrupt communities, but with vulnerability comes the responsibility to prepare, adapt, and protect our people. The broader committee comprises the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the security agencies. When we plan ahead, the storm cannot sweep us away.
He also warned that the state will begin strict enforcement of environmental laws, urging residents to clear drainages, avoid building on waterways, and pay attention to early warning alert. Earlier, NEMA's head of operations in rivers, Eric Ebudage, shared tips on managing floods.
The volume of water that those waterways can take, if it's not well improved upon, you are going to have flooding. You don't need to block waterways. Open your water channels, you open your canals, you open your rivers, you dredge them, so that they can take more volume of water. You don't dump refuse in your waterways, you don't build on waterways. Then as a government, you still also need to improve those coping capacity that you have built for yourself. Make sure that every time you distill these waterways, you open up channels, expand those channels, and dredge those waters. As a community member, you can't stop it. Or peradventure that the water comes, please, you must leave the place immediately.
Away from that, a chairmanship candidate in polls, Denye Pepo, says he's ready to head to court. He's challenging what he calls an outrageous 5 million naira security bond required before filing petitions. He spoke to correspondent Yobi Oruwari.
If they fail to revert to the normal statutory fees, accepting the petition before any other payment of any security deposit, then we are going to sue the tribunal. We'll petition them to NJC. We'll sue them to the High Court. We'll petition them to NJC. We are going to make use of every legal avenue open to us. At the end of today, nothing is done. Tomorrow, we are going to sue the tribunal. I'm going to go on an ex parte injunction so that the court will hear it within 24 hours.
Mr. Pepo says the condition has shut out many candidates from contesting the election result. However, Port Harcourt-based lawyer Uche Olewune insists the bond is standard practice and is refundable at the end of the case.
Before you file a case in tribunal, there's this amount of money they normally provide for you to deposit with the tribunal. The essence of that money is for you to show that the person is really serious to pursue his case diligently. Because of that matter, if there are fines made against that person, those fines, they should collect that fine from that money already deposited with the tribunal. That's the essence of that money. At the end of the day, ultimately, that money is refunded back to the litigant. No fine imposed on the person in the course of the matter generally.
Now, he admits still that similar complaints were raised during the last general elections. Meanwhile, another Labour Party candidate, Charles Nkotaria, is also raising concern. Nkotaria says RISIEG has refused to release election results to opposition parties, making it impossible to file petitions at the tribunal. Nkotaria explains that although they have applied for the result, RISIEG has not responded. He also pointed out that the 5 million naira bond and the 5-day window given for petitions contradict the 21 days provided by law.
And at the place for every candidate that want to seek justice must pay a security bond of 5 million as an individual. So instead of the windows to apply for, to file, it's supposed to be 21 days, but in this case, they put it 5 days. That ended on the day of public holiday, last Friday. We are supposed to approach the judiciary to seek redress where necessary. We have a lot going by the facts on ground. APC is not even meant to be in the ballot.
In other news, the chairman of Muonyili local government area, Dr. Chidi Lloyd, has declared a gang leader known as Cairo wanted and placed a 2 million naira bounty on his head. Dr. Lloyd says Cairo and his gang are behind several crimes and killings in the Obele community. Back in July, the gang allegedly stormed a Council of Chiefs meeting and shot dead the vice chairman, Chief Ferdinand Dabiri. During his visit to the community on Monday, Dr. Lloyd urged security agencies to move quickly and bring Cairo and his men to justice.
Obele is a very, very important community to this state and the nation.
While an indigene of the community, Festus Chimeka, is begging for urgent intervention, he says businesses are shut down and children can no longer go to school.
Honestly, the kids are all at home. Parents don't let their children go to school because they are scared. Because of the hoodlums, because they have kids in that reason and they don't know who needs to be killed. So instead of going to school and the kid at school, you better have their children at home. Nobody going to want to go to the classroom. But if you go to farm and their kid at farm, so where's the benefit? So better stay home and then begin to beg for money.
And now the chairman of Ahoda East local government area, Solomon Abuba, has announced the cancellation of all political appointments he had earlier made. In a statement, the Ahoda East chairman explained that new key appointments will be unveiled at a later date after wide consultations with critical stakeholders. It said the move is to ensure inclusiveness and effective governance in the local government. The chairman reaffirmed his commitment to carrying every segment of Ahoda East along in the decision-making process. He also assured that forthcoming appointment will reflect fairness, competence, and the collective interest of the people. We're going on a quick break. When we come back, we'll tell you the latest on the disagreement between the Senate and Senator Natasha. Stay with us.
Port Harcourt,